Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and join me today to reflect on Man United's trip to Lyon is Brish. How's it going, mate?
I've had better days, Carl.
Mhm. Yes, we were so close to winning away from home in Europe in the quarterfinal, and it was snatched away from us by another mistake from Andre Onana. Now, in the build-up to the game, Andre Onana did an interview after the derby with a few journalists in the mix zone, and he said that he was very confident of United beating Lyon because United are a better team. Matic was then asked about this in the pre-match press conference, and then he proceeded to throw a barb at Onana by saying he's one of the worst goalkeepers in United's history, and that if De Gea, Van der Sar, or Schmeichel had said this, then he would have took the criticism on board, but didn't think that Onana was in a position to say that. Onana immediately responded on social media, claiming that he respects Lyon, and then he threw a jibe back at Maris by saying, "At least I've won a trophy at the biggest club in the world," with a picture of him kissing the FA Cup, because of course Maris didn't actually win any silverware in his 5 years. Um, so I felt I was going to get worried yesterday afternoon that Onana has put a lot of pressure on himself here, and he's got a mistake in him anyway. And I felt it was inevitable that he was going to make an error leading to a Leon goal. In fact, he made two, Brush, and that ruined a really good performance by United.
Absolutely. I mean, in the build up to, I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of enjoyed the little back and forth between them two. I thought it added to the added a bit of spice to the fixture, if I'm being honest. Um, I think going back initially, it's actually on the journalist. The journalist kind of adjusted his words because he knew what he was doing. It was to get a reaction. And then Matic's response, it was from the school of Jose Mourinho, wasn't it? It made me chuckle. Um, and he wasn't wrong. And then I actually didn't mind the fact that Anana, clapped back as well. I just wish that that same confidence oozed on the pitch as well as with just the words. But unfortunately, we know what this guy's about. And yeah, he had a generational disaster class. Not one error, but two. It was absolute criminal stuff.
Yeah, so we conceded straight from across where the ball went through both his hands and into the net. Nobody touched the cross, and that always looks bad when a goalkeeper lets one of them in. And then at the end of the game, literally the last kick of the match, he fumbles a shot, and then Jerky puts in the rebound. And once again, how many times we talked about him pushing the ball out in front of himself instead of to the side, and he done it once again. And look, I think it was Adam Crafton, the journalist, said, "You can be crap and you can be arrogant, but you can't be both." And Anana is both.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's,
definitely. I thought it was quite telling as well. There was a moment when in the second half where the ball was played back and it was going to be quite an easy pickup for Anana, but Harry Maguire just hoofed it out for a throw in.
yeah.
Uh, and if that doesn't tell you that that your that your defenders don't trust you as a goalkeeper, then I don't know what does.
Do you know when Maguire did that? I was thinking the exact same thing. He doesn't trust Onana
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't trust Adana at all. And boy, how the tables have turned because yeah, a lot of people remember that first game. I think it was in pre-season when Onana was having words with Harry.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and we conceded whenever Harry went off for Lindelof. Obviously the defending was a bit all over the place as well, leading to the equaliser. It wasn't just Onana
Yeah.
at fault there. Yeah, we looked more assured with Maguire at the back,
Hmm.
and I thought Lenny Yoro had his best game for United. He obviously scored with a header from Ugate's
Hmm.
initial effort, and that was going wide, and Yaro used his head to direct it into the net past the keeper.
Yeah.
And then
And
he
I
got really confident. He went on a marauding run, played a
yeah,
1-2 with
yeah.
Bruno, and then had a shot on goal.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, yeah, early on in the second half, he was our most potent threat going forward. It's just a shame he didn't look up before taking the shot, but yeah, he got it off. Yeah, I'm impressed with him whenever I see him. For somebody so young, he's shown me a lot of good signs.
Yeah, I'm really excited by the prospect of having
Hmm.
Lenny Yaro and Eden Heaven at the back. for the next 5 or 10 years at Manchester United.
hmm
That gives me a lot of hope and promise. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think many observers felt that that was his best game so far, and in most games he's been good, maybe apart from Southampton at home, where he got a run around in that game. But uh, he's he's extremely raw, but for a raw player, he's a hell of a talent, and there's a reason why Real Madrid wanted him in the summer, and it's great to think that he's got more gears to go. And
Definitely, it's all coming together, and I think we would have been ahead of schedule as well if it wasn't for that injury that he picked up. So if he hadn't missed those first couple of months as well, who knows where he would have been now?
yeah, unfortunately, he missed about 3 or 4 months at the start of the season because of
hmm
that injury against Arsenal in pre-season, and yeah, but he's a absolute member of the first 11 now, no doubt about it. And
Yeah, there's one or two other areas of concern as well in the team. Obviously up front we're absolutely toothless. Rasmus again, he had one or two chances and just didn't do anything with it. Shout out to Xerxes. I've been one of his harshest critics during the season, and he's starting to come in quite clutch now. And nice to see aerial ability added to his game as well. We know he's a unit, but we've not really seen the headers convert to goals, so that was nice to see.
so I'm going to get on to the negatives in terms of the attack first. And as you touched on there, Hoyland, the standout moment was when Dorgu pulled the ball back to him and he had this scuffed shot on goal. That's our first choice number nine. Ooh, that's worrying. So
Yeah,
is it one goal in 27 games now or something? And
yeah, it's
la-
something ridiculous like that. Yeah,
I noticed last night when United were pressing from the front that he's not quite putting in the same level of press as the others, which is very disappointing. He doesn't make the right runs. His movement is not good in the box. I seen it against Manchester City. He's, the ball's out on the left wing with Dorgi or Garnacho, can't remember who, and he runs out towards the person crossing the ball rather than trying to find space in the middle. You're like, what are you doing? He doesn't know way Cavani just has an instinct in the penalty area. He knows where the spaces are and where to make runs, confuse the defenders, but he doesn't know where to be. And quite a lot quite a lot of the time he's in the wrong position. And
hmm
yeah, I don't feel like he does enough pressing either. He doesn't hold the ball up very well. And yeah, and then like his shooting is just seems as like he's not.
atrocious.
It
I
is
think he's gone
atrocious.
in the summer personally.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult to defend him. Remember, we used to say he gets no service
hmm
and he's still a very young player and all that.
Yeah, no, even with service now, it's not happening.
No, we just gotta hope that he's still got a reputation in Serie A and someone like Juve or Milan or
Yeah,
something will take him on,
mm.
or Napoli or whoever, because I think
Maybe understudy to Lukaku in a part exchange deal where Victor ends up coming to us. Wishful thinking, huh?
now we're talking. What a season he's
Think
had
I've
at
been playing too
Galatasaray.
much Football Manager.
Yeah, what a season he's had at Galatasaray, by the way. Unbelievable.
mm. hmm
Um, which isn't a surprise to anyone who's already familiar with the player. But yeah, Garnacho, like he's a constant threat. He's direct. He's always running at defenders, always giving them problems. But the end product again was absolutely
Yeah,
shocking.
again, selfishness, wrong decision making. Yeah, he's another one, man. This summer, I think if we get a decent offering, I can see us selling him.
Yeah, I see if Napoli come back in with 50 million
Yeah,
pounds, I think Jim Radcliffe has snapped their hand off there. And
yeah,
the only way that there is going to be interest from clubs for him in the summer, no doubt about it. There may be
hmm
multiple clubs interested in him. The only way that he stays is if Amorim absolutely wants to keep him. And I'm not
yeah,
100% sure that that'll be the case, but let's see what
yeah.
happens.
Because he doesn't even really suit his system. He's not even a 10, you know.
No. But the most disappointing moment last night, and there might have been two of them actually, where there were clear breakaways for United, like 3-on-3 situations, maybe 3-on-2. And all he had to do was play a simple ball to Bruno, and Bruno was in. He cocked up the ball, he put it ahead of him, and Bruno couldn't quite stretch enough to control it, and the move broke down. You're like,
Yep.
that's appalling. And
hmm
it's getting to the stage now when Garnacho was breaking away. on a counter attack, and you're expecting him to mess it up. That's the stage it's got to. You don't get
Yeah.
off your seat when Garnacho's breaking away in a 2v2 situation. You're thinking, he's going to
Mm,
mess it up here. But yeah, he is a good player. He is a threat. He's direct, but the end product is not there. But I suppose he's still only 20. You can still argue that Ronaldo was at the same stage of his career when he was 20. He was still making those mistakes, and there was no end product until the beginning of his fourth season at United when he was 21 and a half. So you could say that Garnacho is still on track to be a world class player. But given the fact that he doesn't fit into the system, I can see him being moved on in the summer, you know. Um,
definitely. I think that's the key issue. It's the fact that he's not ideally suited to the system.
mm, yeah,
Like otherwise, I could understand, keeping patience and whatnot. But yeah, I think there might be better alternatives out there that suit the system more.
but even before the subs last night, I thought United were the better side. I thought United were
Yeah.
on top for most of the second half.
I think that's what annoys me the most, though. Despite all of these criticisms, we should have come away comfortably. We should be sitting here celebrating a 2-0 win. But, individual errors cost us and just silly, silly errors that can be avoided. And there's no excuse for.
Yeah, it was a throwback to the Champions League group stage last season, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, yeah. I was watching that yesterday, Carl, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, Alana really believes in Brexit, doesn't he? He doesn't like us in Europe.
Yeah, a lot of his mistakes tend to come in Europe. Um,
Hmm.
so the manager brought on Xerxes for Hoyland, which was an obvious change. They brought Mount on for Ugarte, he was on a yellow, and he also who else did he bring on? He brought on Menu, I think, for Garnacho with on 82 minutes. And whenever all those players were on the pitch, we were playing some gorgeous football. I was really excited, and the second goal came from that lovely improvised knockdown from Menu to find
A
Fernandez in
lovely
space,
ball in as well.
and
Lovely
then
ball in as well by Bruno. And the finish. Oh,
yeah, it was absolute textbook. That
yeah, it was perfectly timed, wasn't it? He had beaten the defender, got his head to it. There was nothing too much the keeper could do. It was brilliant. And that was on the 88th minute. So you're thinking, listen, now you just got to shut up shop. Like we've somehow got out of this now. Just, don't do anything. And then as we scored that goal as well, what does Anana do? He turns around and starts making faces at the Lyon fans, antagonizing them.
Yeah, because the ultras were giving him grief when he came out for the warm up,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
yeah, but he should. I don't mind. See if we had win the second leg and go through. Then Onana can celebrate in front of the Leon fans all he wants. I
Yeah.
don't care. But he's being stupid by
Yeah, yeah, especially that
antagonizing
late
them.
on as well. Yeah, especially that late on. Like, why are you riling them up more? Just be professional, see the game out.
Yeah, I would rather do is talking on the pitch, to be honest,
Hmm.
rather than
Same.
in interviews or on social media or antagonizing supporters. Let's win the game first and then you can celebrate. You're not good enough that you can be so cocky before a ball's even been kicked. And
Hmm.
there's one player that you could guarantee will not be able to back up his words. It's him, and
Definitely.
he let us down badly again. But yeah, Xerxes, he's come a long way from that being substituted against Newcastle in the first half, where some fans were cheering him off. And now every time
He looked to be in tears that day, but yeah, yeah. Look how quickly things can change in football.
now he still only has 3 goals in 23
Yeah,
games, but
yeah.
his performances have been really good, especially when
Hmm.
he comes off the bench. It does have an impact. He's just a real silky footballer, isn't he? And
Yeah.
yeah, he can go past people very easily, and he can hold the ball up well. And what I love about him is that he tries really hard too. He chases people
Hmm.
down, like Carlos Tevez, chasing down defenders on the goalkeeper. He's really added that to his game as well, and I heard the manager mention that too. And
Yeah. And he uses his size quite well.
oh yeah, he's very strong, isn't he? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't get pushed off the ball very easily. And
Hmm.
yeah, it would take a man mountain to push him off the ball, to be fair. But what a what a turnaround it's been, and I can see him being here next season now, without a doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
as he's a really, really handy squad player to have, in my opinion.
hmm Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, with time he can add some goals to it
Yeah,
as well. But that's really the only part missing, isn't it? Everything else I can't really fault him on at this moment in time.
yeah, yeah. We love someone who puts in so much effort. We love to see them doing well at Old Trafford, and that's
hmm
what's happening at the minute with Xerxes. But yeah, we like a few more goals, but that might come in time. Next season, hopefully he can improve on his whatever tally he finishes with this season. And yeah,
Definitely.
even if next season he's not a regular starter, I can see him coming off the bench quite a lot
And
and
making an impact. Yeah.
making an impact. Yeah, because he's good at that. You'd never want
hmm
to be that person as a footballer, but a lot of people do end up getting that role, and it does mean you're important. Because I think it was Eddie Jones who first in the rugby coach first mentioned having finishers. And what he means by that is the people who come off the bench to finish the game. I think Gareth
hmm
Southgate alluded to that too when he was mentioning the Euros. But we need finishers at United as well, and people who can come off the bench. And you definitely Mason Mount and Xerxes are two of those. Uh,
We need the more conventional
yeah,
kind of finisher as well. There's somebody has
yeah,
to score these damn goals.
absolutely. But we're not going to get it from Rasmus Højlund. That's for sure.
No, we're not. Poor guy.
And that's something that needs to be addressed in the summer. But I
Yeah.
am excited about, there's so many, must be 10 different strikers that we've been linked with. So I'm excited to find out which one it's going to be that we're going to get. It might end up being the least exciting one, which is Liam Delap,
Mm,
because he has a 30 million buyout clause if they go down Ipswich. But
yeah. And it looks like they're definitely going down.
yeah,
There's
but
going to be a lot of interest in him, though.
I think it's Chelsea are interested in him, but we have a link with Jason Wilcox, who used to work at Manchester City, and Liam Delap, of course, came through the academy there, and Wilcox was heavily involved in the academy there, so that might be.
For me, if Delap is the only striker coming in, I'd be concerned. If he comes in, he should be like the understudy to a main striker.
Yeah,
So
I agree with
it's
that, but
one out for me. So
we're going to get on to
Hoyland,
we're going to get on to something later in the show
yeah,
around that,
okay,
bit of transfer news.
all
Um,
right.
so and I have a question for you around that as well.
Mm,
So Bruno Fernandes, another top performance from our talisman last night as well, and on getting his customary assist. Yeah, just what a phenomenal season he's having, and he's going to be crucial to us winning the Europa League. Um, I was a bit surprised last night, I have to say, that Rangers went down to 10 men very early on in the game against Bilbao. Bilbao didn't score against 10 men.
yeah. 13th minute they got a red card and they held out. It's
It
very
does, I
impressive.
tell you what, it gives me hope if we're playing Bilbao in the semi-finals.
hmm
I,
Hey, one step at a time. We got to get
I
past
know,
Lyon first.
yeah, we should already have one step in the
Yeah, we really
semi-finals.
should already have one foot in there. So yeah,
But
that's the
it's
thing.
but it's not often we win on a way tie in a knockout round in
Yeah,
Europe, and we were seconds away from it last night. That's what I was. I have to be honest with you. I was absolutely pissed off last night, and
yeah,
you probably got that from my messages to you on WhatsApp.
yeah. My head was gone after the second one because at 2-1, I'm thinking, yeah, we've got out of jail there, and then that happens.
I was absolutely livid with rage,
Yeah,
because I'm tired of Onana. I don't want to see him
it
start
was it
another
was like
match.
the worst of Barthez and Taibbi all in one.
It was him, and I follow a Manchester United supporter on Twitter, and we interact every week, and John Cowell from Manchester, and he's
hmm
68 years old, and he says he listed all these really bad keepers from United's past, and he
And they'd
says
all get in.
he says Onana is now the worst in his opinion.
Yeah. Because obviously, for a long time, I reserved that top spot for Taibbi, but it was a relatively short run for Taibbi. So he didn't have too many games, whereas Onana is clear in front now.
Yeah,
Um,
because in those days Fergie made a decision very quickly that somebody wasn't up to it. Unfortunately, with Onana, it feels as if it's going to be very hard to shift them. Uh,
yeah, that's the thing. Because I mean, initially he brought in Mark Bosnich. He wasn't the one. He ended up playing Van der Hau, who was number two for a little bit. Because all the other ones that he brought in didn't work out. and then we just went through. It was musical chairs, wasn't it, until we got to Van der Sar.
Yeah, it was so many, stopgap goalkeepers there,
Yeah,
and
but the
then
worrying thing is that when you go through all the stop gaps now, the likes of your Roy Carrolls and Tim Howards, they would all get into this team now.
yeah, they would. Like I don't like going in on the guy. I don't like absolutely
Yeah,
slating him on YouTube. But the fact is, he's just not good enough, and he might be
yeah,
pop.
he's a liability. I mean, yeah, same here. Like, I don't like to keep talking about it, but when he has games like yesterday, you can't help but talk about it, you know? That's what's cost us. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here saying, oh, we've got a 2 goal lead to take back to Old Trafford.
And he might be popular in the dressing room. Everybody apparently likes him because of his personality, but
Hmm.
it's not a personality contest. It's football, I'm afraid. And
Yeah, see, listen, we used to say this about Jesse Lingard. We're not running a youth club here. He might be a nice guy and that, but that's not what we're here for.
no, unfortunately, it's a cutthroat business, and if you're not doing it,
Yeah,
especially at a big club like United, then you should get moved on.
absolutely.
So my question to you is that do you want to see him drop now, right away?
Yes, yes, I'd like to see Bayindir given a chance. I think that's a safe option because the mind games as well, like because you kind of want to take the attention off him because now it's going to be a spectacle around Onana. I feel going into each game.
Yeah, and it's very worrying that if you even go back to the Victoria Pilsen game in the league
Hmm.
phase, the Victoria Pilsen manager said before the game that they were targeting Onana. How embarrassing is that? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Especially with this, with everything that's been said as well before Lyon in the second leg, I think all eyes would be on him. So I
Mhm.
personally, I'd bring in Bayern.
Could you imagine if he dropped another clanger in the second leg at Old Trafford, which cost us our
Yeah,
place?
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's not good for the player or us. So yeah, I'll take him out the firing line.
Yeah, that might be the sensible approach. Um,
Hmm.
so I felt as if when Xerxes, Mason Mount, and Manu were on the pitch, I felt we now had three players who were on the same wavelength as Bruno Fernandes and
Yeah.
playing some lovely stuff. And I felt I want to see these players in the starting 11. I
Hmm.
want to see what it looks like when these players are all fit and firing and in the 11 with Ahmad, of course, as well, because that is an exciting prospect. But
Definitely. That's the key thing, isn't it? Especially with our number seven. I think we've spoke on here a fair few times this season where profile wise he fits Amarim, doesn't he? It's just about his fitness.
he's taking it very easy with him at the moment. He's doing like 20-minute cameos in every game at the for the foreseeable. Uh, because maybe he went and started him too soon in the winter, and then he got injured
Hmm.
very early in that Manchester derby. So he's obviously very weary of that now, Amorim, and wants to slowly build up his match fitness before starting him in a match. Make sure he doesn't
Definitely.
break down in the first half again. But because of course, when he started against Brighton back in August, he came off at half time in that game as well. So, and it's
Hmm.
whenever eventually he does get a start, I'm going to be watching with anxiety, with it, hoping that he doesn't break down.
Yeah.
Because there has been chat that he could be sent to a clinic in Switzerland, which
Mm.
could get rid of these injuries, at least for the most part. But if United were to take that option, that would rule him out for 6 months. So my guess is they won't do that unless he gets injured again, and then they might consider that because I suppose it might be worth losing him for 6 months. If after that you got a player who's always fit, that would be worth the risk, in my opinion. I'm sure it would cost a pretty penny too to send him to a clinic in Switzerland, but
Yeah, but if you think that it would sort everything out long term, it might be worth exploring because at the moment this is nonsense. You can't have a player just never fit, just go coming in and out of the team. And then the wages he's on and all the other things that people mention, if we could
yeah,
fix it once and for all, yeah, why not?
yeah, I think he's played about 35 games out of 100, which is
Yeah.
a bowling statistic. Now, what happened
Hmm.
last night when he got into a bit of argy-bargy with one of their players and they both got booked? Didn't really see why. I didn't understand that. Um, it seemed as if Mason Mount got fouled, and then
Yeah.
Lyon players started going after him,
hmm
shoving him and getting in his face, and he kind of smirked it off, and then him and the Leon player were booked, but I didn't really see what Mount did wrong there. Mount did
Yeah,
he?
no, neither did I. I think it was just quite heated.
Mhm.
I assumed it was just I felt Mason felt had every right to feel the way he did, having having been on the receiving end of that challenge. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't get what their problem with him was at all. I
yeah,
had to laugh at Jerky. He's obviously seen as their danger man, and obviously Onana gifted him the equaliser last night. Um,
hmm
but he said in his post match interview that Lyon were by far the better team.
yeah. I
And
don't know what game he was at. To be honest, I thought he had a quiet game, although you wouldn't think it the way people were talking about him on social media and stuff. Like I get that he got the equalizing goal, but I thought he had a quiet game to be honest.
yeah, he had a couple of moments, but that was
Yeah,
it really.
that was it. Yeah.
And so did the Georgian fella showed a bit of skill at one point to take it
hmm
past two United players, and had us in a spot of bother temporarily.
He looked
Um,
quite good in the Euros as well, actually.
yeah, they had a decent Euros.
Yeah.
I remember it's the Philly, the PSG winger. I remember
hmm
him absolutely destroying Dallo in the Euros, and that didn't shock me at all. Um, yeah, I thought Dallo had a decent game last night as well. Apart from the booking that he got, another silly challenge where he
Yeah.
dove in. Remember, he got a second yellow with the Emirates for doing that in the FA
hmm
Cup. He had no need to make that challenge on the halfway line. But yeah, he's not annoyed me in the last few games, so that's definitely
Long may that
progress.
continue. I think that's the biggest compliment we can play. We can give
Yeah,
Salah. He hasn't annoyed me.
yeah, that is progress, I have to say.
Yeah,
Um,
that is.
Mazrahi was absolutely magnificent again. Just that solid 7 out of 10
hmm
or even 8 some weeks and never lets you down. And
Yeah, just Mr. Dependable, isn't he? So yeah, rock steady
and
Eddie.
Dorgu very much a mixed bag, but I'm not surprised by that
hmm
because he's coming into
He's
Man
so
United.
young.
He's young.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
just come from Lecce in Serie A.
exactly. Yeah, and where they never even used him as a left wing back, so everything's new to him. So yeah, I'm very patient with him.
Yeah, but I think he had a bad game there away against Forest, but last night was a step in the right direction again. Yeah, he
hmm
should have got an assist for a pullback to Poland, which he absolutely scuffed. But
Yep.
you're not going to get assists when you're playing the ball to Holland, unfortunately. And I don't want to go in on him either, but he's just not doing it, and it's not going to happen for him. Like he may go to a Serie A club and have a great career, but it ain't going to happen at Old Trafford, I don't think, for Rasmus Højlund. I mean, he's had enough chances now, and it's not his first season either. I mean,
hmm
how many times he had a goal right already, and he's not even been here 2 seasons? You know, I mean, it took him to Boxing Day in his first season to score a Premier League goal. And if you take out that wee purple patch between Boxing Day last season and the end of February last season when he got injured, he wouldn't have scored too many Premier League goals. I mean, it might be five at the most. So
hmm
yeah, outside of that period, so yeah, very, very disappointing. And the club should never have spent that money on him. It's criminal. Somebody retweeted the David Ornstein tweet from 2023 saying that United are buying Rasmus Højlund for was it was it 70 million euro plus
Seven,
10 million euro or something.
72 in total. So 64 million pounds up front and the rest in add-ons, totaling 72.
Yeah,
It's
just look
insane for a
that.
player who scored 9 goals in Serie A the previous season.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have to say that Ten Hag signing Onana, Hoyland, and Anthony, they didn't come off, despite what Anthony's doing at Betis. That doesn't matter to us because he's not doing it at Old
Mhm.
Trafford. And
Yeah.
he-
I am happy for him at Betis though.
but
I just hope they come up with the funds to make it permanent.
it, certain players they can do it at a lower level or a lower club
Yeah.
where expectations aren't as high.
I think also for him, it might also just be the weather and the culture and stuff out there as well. I think certain, South Americans might be suited more to to their league and that their game. But yeah, I think he's made a solid impression over there. So even if not Betis, I'm hoping one or two La Liga teams come in, maybe. I've heard some rumors about Atletico potentially being interested. That would be great for us.
Yeah, because they'd have the budget to buy him.
Yeah, yeah, they'd have the money, so yeah, we could actually claw back some. Yeah,
We need,
nowhere near what we spent, obviously, but I reckon he's done his value no harms during this loan spell. So I'd
yeah,
be expecting sort of about 30, 35 million.
we need 32 to avoid a loss on the PSR calculator.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Batista went from 11th to 6th while he's been there, so
Hmm.
that's and they absolutely love him. Even Isco said publicly about having a
Yeah,
whip.
yeah, we saw little clips of him as well, like just waving flags and stuff. I've been watching their highlights actually, and he actually looks up for it as well in games. Like he's not just there going through the motions, like he's actually trying.
Yeah, he has to. His career's on the line. I mean,
Yeah.
like if you don't, if you're not done it at United and you're being loaned out and you don't
Hmm.
impress in that loan spell, then you're on a slippery slope.
Definitely, because
Like,
there was a part of me that thought, "Oh, is this going to be like
Yeah,
Martial's loan to
yeah. I'm
Sevilla?"
just going to say Martial there because he got one goal in 19 appearances for
Yeah,
Sevilla.
and none of them in the league.
Yeah, and now where is he playing? The Greek league, for
Yeah, yeah,
AEK Athens.
Athens. Yeah, where he's injury free. Would you believe?
That's very suspicious.
Like
But
this
yeah,
is it's probably the longest he's gone without injury. So yeah.
so I thought for United, Onana, Anthony, and Hoyland have been very poor signings by the previous manager. But I will
Hmm.
say that he did leave us one good present, and that was Mazraoui.
Mazraoui, and it's one of the cheapest signings as well. That turns out to be the best. I
Yeah,
think it worked out to be about 12.5 million that we spent on Mazraoui.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, quite a so.
One thing that will always piss me off though, all these ex-Dutch players and Ajax linked players that this man brought in. Why? Why didn't he give us Gravenberch? We talked about it over the years. He was there for the taking when he was at Ajax. He was there
I
for the
know,
taking after Bayern. Ah,
but we're linked with Gakpo as well. Um, if Gakpo and Gravenberch came to United, do you think it would have worked out, or is it are they doing well at a team because the team they went to are doing well, and it's an easier
uh,
easier for them, to blend in?
Gravenberch, I think, is just a very good player. So under the right system, I think he was always going to flourish. I'm a bit undecided on Gakpo. I never really rated him. At that time, I thought he was just a Dutch Rashford, to be fair. So I
Yeah.
wasn't too fussed about missing out on him.
I hope that Barcelona come in for him so we can get some money for him as well. Uh, that's his dream destination.
Who's
Yeah,
that? Rashford.
yeah.
I mean, well, Villa have got the option, haven't they? So we'll have to see if they
Mm. All the
exercise that
all the noises from the
respectively.
Rashford camp is that he doesn't want to
Yeah,
stay at
he
Aston
doesn't want
Villa.
to stay there.
Even in his first interview, he's basically saying, "I'm here for a short time." That didn't sound like he was
Yeah,
committing
yeah,
his future to
yeah, yeah.
Aston
We'll have
Villa.
to see. We'll have to see. When I look at that Barcelona team, though, I don't see him
Yeah, you're
starting.
right. You're absolutely right. That's a good point. But
He'd be on the bench. And also, they're a cash strapped team as well, in it.
mm,
They've been selling off assets they don't even yet have. Uh,
I
you know,
know,
future VIP boxes that don't exist.
but
So I don't know. I don't know.
they're still able to make it happen every summer. They do make signings, even if it.
One signing. I think last summer they made Danny Olmo the main signing, and that was it. And even then, there was some hoo-ha about his registration and stuff. And apparently, the bigwigs at La Liga aren't happy with that. Uh, you know, with the
Well,
registration and stuff.
well, for us, it's important that there's interest in Anthony and Rashford from clubs that can actually afford these players.
Definitely, definitely,
Mm.
yeah. Because I was having a little talk a little bit earlier actually with a friend, and we were going through like potential budget and all the players that are leaving, how much wages can be cleared up, and then what our summer window looks like. And to be honest, if we can move on the players that are already out on loan and that, there is going to be a fair bit of leeway in how we maneuver. I don't think it's all doom and gloom like Sir Jim made it sound. When he sat down with Gary Neville. Because if things were that bad, then we wouldn't have spent the money that we did last summer.
Radcliffe's not telling the truth, so take that
Yeah,
take that with
yeah,
a
I
pinch
think
of salt.
he's yeah, definitely. I can understand all the cost cutting and stuff, but it's wide of the mark. It wouldn't have been that bad.
But
The
it's a
only
good
one that
strategy. It's a good strategy. If you think about Ed Woodward in
yeah.
2014
Hmm.
bragging about how much money he had to spend, that
Yeah, no, it's true. I'd rather you do the opposite. Yeah, when I was going through the squad, actually, the only one that I was really stuck on, I was like, oh, I don't really know how to shift him. Actually, there was one or two. First of all, Luke Shaw, just because the greatest ability is availability. So I think that's a contract that we just have to run that down, don't we? So he's just stuck here. Casemiro as well. If Saudi don't come in for him, then what? We're gonna have to eat up the last year of that contract. 350 a week. There's nothing else we can do.
can't Inter Miami not come in for him.
I don't care where he goes, to be honest.
I'm trying to think of places that would there where he could go, where he could fit in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, but Kevin De Bruyne's a free agent, isn't he? So into Miami might look at him.
Yeah, and just Messi's going to sign a new contract there, so that's going to
Yeah,
cost
yeah,
him a fortune.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, Anthony, 200 grand a week if we can get that off. Obviously, Rashi, the big, real big one, 300 plus. Just those two gone is 500,000 a week saved. Um, Christian Eriksen's on 150. He's out the door. Tom Heaton, our third goalkeeper, who's made 3 appearances in 4 years, is on about 45 grand a week. That's out the door. I think Johnny Evans is on about 65. He's going. Lindy is on 120. He's out the door. So there is a lot of money to play with in terms of wages
yeah,
uh, and with sales. You could raise roughly, even with a reasonable estimate, not over, projecting, you could raise 150 to 200 million, I reckon, in sales
yeah, that
if
sounds
you
about
if you
right.
were to
But
gut the team.
given United's history of selling players, I will believe it when I see
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
it all just sounds too good to be true. So hopefully we can get all the players we need to get off the books, get them off the books, and then we'll be
That's
able to
the
do.
main thing. It's getting the players out that we need out.
Mm. Yeah, it's got to the stage where I'm more excited, not more excited, but I'm almost as excited about departures than
about
actual
about
incomings.
sales. Yeah, yeah. In terms of the incomings, I'll tell you what, the one bit of positivity that we do have is that when we look back at last season's window, I'm pretty pleased overall. The only thing that really bugged me in the summer was that we didn't get a left back, and then we addressed that in January anyway. But when we look at the signings that have come in under Ineos, I don't think any of them have been bad signings.
No, no, that at the moment it doesn't look like it. Yeah, the 2023 transfer window looks really bad because when
That
it,
might be one of our worst in history. I saw that trending on the timeline the other day, and I was thinking, I was like, can I think of worse windows than this? And then there was like one or two others that came to mind, and then I, just sat in a dark room thinking to myself, thinking, "Wow, how have we got like a top five of worst windows?"
but it's Onana terrible, Hoyland
Yeah,
terrible, but
yeah.
Mason Mount could still turn it around.
He could be the saving grace in that window, but that on paper, that's about 170 million pounds there on those three, and it's an atrocious window.
Yeah, because Mason Mount nearly missed an entire season last year, and we could have had
Yeah,
him for free in the
could have had him
2024.
for free. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then we had a guy in charge who made him the marquee signing, and then didn't use him even when he was fit.
Mhm. But listen, Erik ten Hag is the man who would not give Ahmad a chance. Then
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when Amorim came in and gave him a chance, we've seen how good that he
yeah,
is. And look at us now;
yeah,
we're desperate to have him back in
yeah.
the
We
in the
were
team.
speaking about at the time, like not just him, Pelestri at the time as well. Couldn't get a look in.
And it was only a couple of months into Amorim's reign. Ahmad's getting a 5-year contract. Was he so crucial to
Hmm.
the team? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
and we could
The
see
only
it.
other windows I can think of, I don't think any window's worse than that one, by the way. But the only other ones I could think of was that one where we got Fred and Dallo in and nothing else, and Lee Grant. Um,
Oh no,
that That window was terrible. Also, the Harry Maguire Wan-Bissaka double duo because that was about
That
130 million down the drain.
that that transfer window that you just
Yeah,
alluded to there in 2018
yeah,
was penny pinching. Uh,
yeah. At the
uh,
worst time under the wrong manager because you bring in a
yeah,
Jose Mourinho, you know what he's about. You have to back him fully. You can't go in half-hearted. And then
yeah.
you restricted everything and just gave him two players.
And after that, he wanted to get sacked, and he did everything in
Yeah,
his power to get sacked
yeah, yeah.
because he
Basically,
because he knew he hadn't been given the
yeah,
tools to win the Premier League, and
yeah,
he just wanted out.
definitely, yeah,
Um, and he has said since then a number of times that his best
yeah.
achievement in football was finishing second with Man United in
Hmm.
2018. Yeah. But back to the present day, United played some nice stuff in the second half last night, and I know we need reinforcements in most positions, but
Hmm.
take last night. If we had a good goalkeeper and a good number nine, we would improve immediately just by having those two signings.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the thing. And that's why I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Like we obviously need a good summer, but one summer is all it takes. It could really transform us.
Yeah, it can just turn around very quickly. You seen
Yeah.
how quickly Arsenal went from being, also rans to challenging
Hmm.
for the title and now challenging for the Champions League.
And even their process. Look at how long it's taken though. Like because they had two back-to-back eight place finishes. Then they finished fifth, and then they
Yeah,
got the back to back second.
yeah, the two eighths and
Yeah,
then the fifth.
yeah.
I still wasn't convinced that Arteta was going
Hmm.
to challenge for the title with this team, but then
Yeah,
that first season where they finished second that just came out of nowhere. They were just instantly just
yeah,
brilliant
yeah.
and
Even
really.
last year they ran City so close.
So things can change in football very quickly.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, yeah, United could easily go from 13th to fifth in just one season. So
I hope so. I certainly
yeah,
hope so. I'll tell you what, my aims aren't even that high. Next season, all I'm hoping for is top half.
so apparently fifth is enough to get into the Champions League now, or is it just this
Yeah,
season?
yeah. No, it might be for the foreseeable future, but I don't know exactly how the coefficiency thing works. But yeah, um, yeah, currently because Arsenal won or something, yeah, fifth place is for us now in England.
Yeah, I'm look. I've been optimistic before, and it hasn't worked out. But at the
Hmm.
moment, I feel once Omrim is given the tools,
Yeah,
he's going to make us a force. That
yeah. I
it may,
certainly hope so. I see enough in the things that he's doing that gives me confidence that with the right recruitment, we can get there.
so just before I get on to a bit of transfer news, I'm just going to
Mhm.
run down the player ratings, which uh, looking forward to. I haven't done this for a wee while. Um,
Yeah.
the first one's very easy. It's going to be a 0 out of 10, I'm afraid, for the goalkeeper.
Hmm.
It's his
Shall we
fault.
give minus points?
Dan, if you like, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, this might be the first time we have to give someone minus points. Give him -2. Like it's ridiculous. It just
Minus
the
two
way he
then for
dives as well just pisses me off now. It's just like a fish out of water. It's like he's stuck in a one-man matrix. You know, Neo in the Matrix when he's dodging those bullets in slow motion. That's how he dives.
yeah. Yeah. So -2 for Onana. Yeah. Funny enough, Chris, who contributes to this show, after 3 games into Onana's first season at United, he said, "I don't like the look of him. He's not a good
Yeah,
goalkeeper." And I,
yeah, yeah,
I was like, "Oh, you have to give him time. It's too early to judge him." But he
yeah,
was
yeah,
right. He was right. He
yeah,
called it very early on.
yeah,
And and
yeah.
and Chris is
I had
not
my
normally
concerns. I had
no
my
no
concerns before he arrived.
yeah. Chris is not normally the type of guy to write off a new signing.
Hmm.
He likes to give them 1 or 2
Yeah.
seasons. But after 3 games, he said he's not a
Mm.
good goalkeeper,
Yeah,
and he was
him
up.
and Diogo Costa, who were both linked with, both of them are liabilities. And I'll tell you what, this summer we're going to get linked with the guy at AC Milan, and he's a liability too, Mike Magnon. He's only got 12 months left to run on his contract, so I assume there's going to be talk around him in the summer. He's a slightly better shot stopper, but again, he's a liability as well.
we're linked with the Palmer goalkeeper as well, the Japanese fella. But
But now his value's gone through the roof after the season he's had. I think we could have had him for like 5 million, but he chose the right move for his career progression, and now they rate him at like 30 or 40 million or something ridiculous.
and then there's obviously the option of James Trafford, if maybe a cheaper option
Yeah,
than that. That's
yeah,
what we need.
he's kept a ridiculous amount of clean sheets in the championship. I know it's a different level in the championship, but yeah, it's quite promising.
They are a very defensive team, but
Yeah.
if he was a bad goalkeeper, then they wouldn't keep those
Hmm.
clean sheets. So he's obviously doing
Yeah.
something right. And it'd be fitting for a guy with the second name Trafford being
Yeah,
United's
yeah, to be at Old
goalkeeper.
Trafford. Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, obviously for the homegrown quota as well, I think that's something that they might need to look at. Uh,
Yeah, we need to keep an
Homegrown
eye on that.
English,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because that is important as well. But I think there's a fair few options knocking about out there. I think we discussed before, there's one or two number twos in world football that are good enough to be number ones, like Lunin at Madrid.
Yeah,
I'll definitely test the waters there.
yeah. We mentioned him on the previous show, but
Yeah.
if we come in for him, Madrid will just go, "Ooh, Man United coming in for one of our players again. Let's put the
I
price up."
just put the price up. Yeah, yeah. It might be like Trump's tariffs
Yeah,
when they see us coming.
125%.
Yeah, yeah.
So Maserati, the usual solid 7 out of 10. Maguire 7, yeah, conceded when he went off. He had some crucial interventions. Yeah, dominates the penalty area. Lenny Yaro's best game for United so far, scoring as well, going on a marauding run, playing a 1-2 with Bruno and having another shot on goal. You see the confidence he got just from scoring that goal.
Hmm.
8 out of 10 for him. Diogo Dallo got that silly yellow card, but overall, not a liability in this game and did fairly decent. So I'll give him a 6. Ugarte picked up a card, so that's probably why he was taken off as a precaution. Don't want to go down to 10 men away from home in Europe. I'll give him a 6. Uh, Casemiro mm, wasn't his greatest game. I know he had a couple of good games against Real Sociedad, but last night I thought he was maybe dribbled past a few occasions, which was a bit worrying. He looked a bit off the pace. I seen even when Lyon had a counter attack, when he was chasing back, he was his sprinting looks as if he's like really struggling, like he has a piano on his back or something. You're like, yeah, his legs just seem to have gone. So
Yeah, that midfield is going to be an interesting one to address in the summer. We've been linked to the Brazilian Edison at Atalanta.
yeah, yeah, I've seen that link, but I think there'll be plenty of names on the short list, and
Yeah,
we do
yeah,
need somebody to replace
yeah.
the Casemiro.
Rio Ferdinand's a big fan of Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. He
Mm.
likened him to Michael Carrick.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people talking him up, and has had his injury problems though, hasn't he? At
Yeah,
Palace.
yeah, yeah. He had a long layoff from injury. I think he came back in Feb. And also there's an English tax as well in it with some of these young players because some of the
Yeah.
quotes I don't know they just get them out of thin air. I've been hearing like 70 million, and I'm like, what?
No, 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 no. A-
It's insane. It doesn't make sense.
An English player from English clubs is going to be a budget buster.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah.
So Casemiro a 5, Dorgu a mixed bag. Yeah, sometimes his crossing is good, sometimes it's not.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I thought he was okay, so I'll give him a 6. Um, Garnacho, everything but the final ball, and it's so frustrating. Um,
Mhm.
he had an effort as well that was saved by the goalkeeper, but I don't think it was a great effort to be honest. He got was it did he hit it down into the turf, didn't he? Or then the keeper it bounced up and the keeper tipped it over. Like a simple save, I think, for the goalkeeper. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think it was at least got it on target to be fair. Some of Garnacho's efforts are not on target, so I'll give him that. But yeah, there was two counterattacks where he ruined them with his final ball. So
Yeah.
I'll have to give him a 5. Hoyland absolutely abysmal, um, and rightfully substituted again. He's lucky
Yeah,
to
just give
start.
out of all confidence. Yeah, poor guy, man. I don't know where he goes from here.
Has to be a 2 out of 10. Uh,
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes, captain, fantastic. This is like the 80s where the man of the match was always Brian Robson with the United. It's the captain again. We're going through
Hmm.
another era of not winning leagues where the captain is the main man in the middle of the park. So Bruno Fernandes gets 8 out of 10 for me for last night's performance. And the bench were really good as well, had their impact. Um, First of all, Xerxes, he would get well, he has to get a 7, yeah, for scoring, of course, should have been the winner.
Yeah.
Kobe Menu, I give him a 7 for his impact. And Mount the same, he gets a 7 too. They were and Lindelof came on. We can see it when he came on, so I'll only give him a 5. Uh, I know what I hate when Lindelof. Yeah, you mentioned Lacazette is spurning a few chances, was he
Yeah.
did, missing the target on a couple of occasions. And one of those, Lindelof attempt to block the shot was to come out with his hands behind his back and just. I hate when he does that. I hate that type of
Yeah.
defending.
Yeah.
I know what.
Honestly, if they had a competent striker, we would have been in trouble. And somebody else could have had a brace on another day. All Laka had to do was hit the target, and he just missed it entirely.
Yeah, yeah, but
Because even as he was taking
what?
those shots on the replay, I was seeing like Onana's positioning and what he was doing, and I was thinking, I was like, had Laka got this on target, there's no way Onana's getting.
No, but from our point of view, what I want our centre half to do is to go out there and jump at Lacazette and get it, try to block the shot with everything you've got. Not stand where you are, put your hands behind your back and hope that you might get something on it. I absolutely hate that type of defending. I know why they're doing it because they're afraid of giving away a handball, but
Hmm.
you're standing like a statue and making yourself less big. You're making yourself
Yeah,
less of a target.
yeah, it's awkward, isn't it? They really need to change the rule though, to be honest, because it's ridiculous. Like, because if the hands are by your side, it's a natural body position. Like, it's stupid when they give pens.
There was another chance that they had another big chance where uh, I think it was Toloso where he dummied Mazarahi when he's making a last ditch block, and Mazarahi was in, sat down, and then he had a free shot on Onana, and he hit it straight at him. That was an
Hmm.
opportunity that they spooned. Uh, but overall, I thought United were the better team in the second half. The first half was dreadful. It's a spectacle, and both teams scored from a set piece. And but the second half, I thought it was really end-to-end stuff. But United, I thought, had the more clear-cut chances. And
Definitely. Like, there was nothing really that I found concerning about Lyon. I'll put it that way. Like, it was all just a calamity of our own making, and the tie is still there. It's there for the taking. It's ours to lose, as far as I'm concerned. They didn't really show me anything that
yeah,
we should be worried about, particularly.
yeah. When I was watching the game last night, I was thinking to myself exactly what I thought about Real Sociedad is this is not a
Hmm.
good team.
Yeah,
If we step it up a gear, we'll beat them. That's
definitely.
and if we can, you know, without the goalkeeper, we beat them away from home.
Absolutely.
If we have Bayindir and Nats, we probably beat them 2-1,
Yeah.
on the night away from home. So at Old Trafford, we should be beating this team. I'm I'm
Hmm.
I'm quietly confident about that. We got the draw on Sociedad. That could have been a win as well. And then we just blew them away at Old Trafford. We performed like that in the second leg, then we're going to beat Lyon as well. But there's always be that doubt in my mind that we'll give away cheap goals and it'll not work out. But hopefully the manager picks Bayindir, gives him a chance. I know Bayindir they had a really poor game against Tottenham in the League Cup, but since then he's played a couple of times. He played again in the FA Cup at the Emirates, and he was sensational in that game. And
Yeah,
then
yeah. He was quite, yeah, he was important in that game. Um, I will say though, even in that game, we do have to keep in mind, had they had a competent striker up front and not Kai Bloody Havertz, he probably wouldn't have kept a
yeah,
clean sheet. But
yeah,
those are the levels.
yeah. I also remember a time at the Emirates in the league, around about 2017 when Jose was the manager.
Hmm.
When it felt like Arsenal had about 132 shots on target, and De Gea must have made about a million saves. That was a crazy game of football. Um,
Ah, it was incredible, incredible. That was, yeah. He just turned into a superhero.
I think we actually won 3-1 in the end, and yet
Yeah.
Arsenal had yeah, and he literally made 14 saves to hit, I think.
Hmm.
So Arsenal just couldn't believe how they lost that game 3-1. But yeah, you have to give the goalkeeper credit, even if the other team have a their finishing is poor. So I know what you're saying about Kai Havertz in that game, but
Yeah.
Bayindir just has to get massive credit for his performance that day and in the penalty shootout as
Hmm.
well. Um, yeah, he deserves a shot in between now and the like he couldn't do much worse than Onana, could he?
Yeah,
Surely.
yeah. I would suspect that, the mistakes would definitely be fewer. I think, yeah, because there's been stats flying around as well. I think he's had like 12 mistakes this year, about eight of them, directly his fault, leading to goals. Yeah, it's all over the timeline. But yeah, he's up there. It's unacceptable at this level.
But there are mistakes that Onana makes that probably don't go down in the official stats as errors leading to
Hmm.
goals. And so there's probably even
Probably.
more than you think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, like people are putting together compilations and stuff, and they say it's not nice.
Uh, so our old friend Samuel Luckhurst, who was in Lyon last night covering the game for the MEN, has had a couple of bits of news today, late afternoon, that he sent out to the world, and both of them were positive, in my opinion. Um, I want to get your thoughts on it. So he's now saying that Onana is now worried that he's going to be dropped against Newcastle.
Mm,
So Samuel has got information that Onana feels that the manager is going to drop him on Sunday. And if that is the case, then it's obviously with a view to also playing Bayindir and Lyon, in my opinion, because
hmm.
you wouldn't want to bring Bayindir completely out of the cold then to play in the biggest game of the season. You want to give him game time against Newcastle first and see how that goes. I suppose
Hmm.
it's a free hit really for the manager. Like I suppose it could be a trial for Bayindir against Newcastle. As you say, in the league now, we're just playing for vibes. So try out the second goalkeeper in a league game that doesn't mean much. See what happens. Then if he does well, then play him against Lyon as well. I think that's a sensible approach.
Yeah. I mean, last time we were saying in it for this game, I want to see full on rotation. So this is really
Uh,
the game to experiment and to rest players to save them for Leon.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's two ways he can play this though, because if he wanted to try and see if Anana can build confidence back, you'd throw him in this game. But I see what you're saying. You don't want to just bring Bayindir out from the cold. It would make sense to give him a little bit of game time, you know?
definitely because he's been injured for a little while as well, and
Yeah,
he's had no
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Just thinking about it while I'm recording. I think that makes
Mhm.
all the sense in the world to give Bayern a shot against Newcastle. It's a
Yeah.
it's basically a trial to see if he's going to take Onana's place or not. You know,
Mm.
it's going to be a hard game. I mean, Newcastle's
But it's going to be a very difficult
yeah,
game, especially if we make wholesale changes, though. So that's why I can see Anana starting that one. But I don't know.
yeah.
I
But
certainly wouldn't play Anana for the Leon for the second leg.
but if he's going to play Bayern against Lyon the
Yeah.
second leg, he's going to play him against Newcastle, in my opinion, because
Mm,
I just don't see him bringing him in out of the cold.
yeah.
But let's see. Um,
Yeah. Could you
y-
imagine? Could you imagine if there was a late goalkeeper substitution to give a goalkeeper 20 minutes? That would be something.
yeah, I think he's even less likely to do that out of all the options. I think that's
Uh,
probably only Van
yeah,
Gaal would
that's
do something
definitely
like
the
that.
least likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah, there could be wholesale changes in the game. Wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Ariamas lines up a left wing back, Luke Shaw
Mm,
maybe a left centre back. Um, but the manager was asked about this in the post match press conference, and what he said was that um, he was I think it was Luckhurst again, who said that when Mourinho when Mourinho's United were in the latter stages of the Europa League, he tossed off many of the league games by playing completely rotated 11s. Are you going to do the same, Ruben? And he was like, basically said, I
yeah.
don't have the squad to do that. So he was kind of
Mm,
hinting that he's not going to make wholesale changes. But
mm,
but there's bound to be three or four, I would say at least. Another
Yeah.
journalist asked him, "Is he going to?" He said that the journalist basically said that Bruno Fernandes has played nearly every minute of this season. Is this the time to leave him out against Newcastle? And he said we'll analyze the data before making a decision on whether a player needs to be rested or not. So my hunch is that Bruno will play anyway. You know what he's like. He,
Yeah.
but yeah, I could see. I think Mason Mount is probably seen as a player that he'd want to have for the Europa League, so he might not want to
Hmm.
start him against Newcastle and risk him getting injured. So I don't think he'll start the game. But I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Shaw gets game time and Harry Hamas starts. Um,
That'd be interesting.
Xerxes would probably get a start. Uh, Maybe Collier would have played if he was available, but he's injured again, unfortunately. I'm trying to think who else. Ericsson might get a start in the game. Uh, who else has not been getting game time recently? Um, let me see. Let me see. Manu, he might get a start. That would make sense.
Hmm.
And our old friend Victor Lindelof would. If Lindelof's playing, then he really is playing a rotated 11. But yeah, there isn't really, unless he plays kids, he can't really change the whole 11, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I don't think he's going to sacrifice the kids and throw them in at the deep end because it would be
No,
unfair to them as well to
I
just
mean,
do that to him against a very, very good Newcastle team.
Newcastle's front six is phenomenal.
It's
Uh,
disgusting, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you look at their midfield three, their front three, at least, four or five of them get into ours.
and they've got their own Bruno, who's
Yeah.
attracting attention from Manchester
Yeah.
City,
I mean, let's be honest, that whole midfield would probably surpass ours.
without a doubt.
Gumaresh, Joe Linton, and Sandra Tonali. Yeah, it's better than ours.
I mean, they were beating us at St James's Park with Longstaff in the middle of the park.
Hmm.
Never mind
Yeah.
the midfielder they have right now.
Isak, obviously a shoe in. And I tell
Yeah,
you what, I didn't give Anthony Gordon the credit he deserved when he first made that move. I thought they had overpaid for him, and I just didn't really rate him that much. But he's proved me wrong. Good on him. He's really grown into that role.
yeah. You got Harvey Barnes as a substitute there as well. If he's not,
Hmm.
whenever Gordon's not available. He's a good player. I have to say, Gordon. I don't know the guy to be honest, but he comes across as a very unlikable player. It just
Yeah. On the pitch though, yeah, no, he's pretty good, pretty nifty. He's a much better player than I gave him credit for initially.
he's a feisty character, all right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Certainly in your face type player. Um, do you know what? Another thing I had to mention about last night was Lyon players going to ground very easily, just like the
Mhm.
Nottingham Forest players the week before. Where, people, opposition fans complain about Bruno, but we come up against teams where nearly every player in their team is doing it. You killed me there. Just rolling around on the turf trying to get players sent off. I really pisses me off.
Mhm.
When you watch a game of rugby and then you watch these guys, it's just embarrassing. Like, I have no time for that whatsoever. All this faking injury to try and get someone booked or get someone sent off. Just,
Yeah, it's all tactics in it, unfortunately. It's part of the game. I
yeah,
wish it wasn't, but you know,
yeah. It's not very masculine, is it? Some of the behavior in football.
no,
Um,
not at all.
um. So another piece of news from Samuel Luckhurst, and I think you'll be excited by this, is that he says Manchester United are very, very keen on Matheus Cunha from Wolves. Um, Ruben Amorim wants to sign him as a number 10 for next season. And
Ah,
Ben Jacobs also says that United are making a lot of progress on this deal. In fact, there's interest from Newcastle United, but the player has indicated that he'd prefer to go to Old Trafford. So give me your thoughts on that then, Brush.
okay. You know, I'm not as excited as you might think by this one. From what I've seen of Cunha, obviously he's very well adapted to the league. He would bring that physical presence as well, and he tracks back. So those are qualities that I like. Um, he's not one that really excites me though. But then I suppose there's not many players that do these days. I just feel like the creativity in that 10 role has just been ironed out by all the tacticos these days. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. it wouldn't be the worst signing in the world, but it's not one that particularly excites me either.
Come
Um,
on, a bit of positivity, Bruce. Come on.
I really want a number nine, someone that can score goals that'll get me off my seat.
He scored he scored 15 goals from number 10 this season. That's and
Yeah,
he's Brazilian. He's going to fit the system. He's used to the Premier League. He's got that bit of quality that we need.
yeah,
Yeah.
age profile and everything else. Yeah, he's what 25. He's you'd think he's got his best years
Listen,
ahead of him.
listen, if Amorim thinks he's a good signing, then I'm getting on board with it, you
Yeah,
know. Um,
yeah, it's one of those watch this space kind of deal. Hmm. But the player's keen, is he? Player's keen to come to us.
I that's what we're being told, yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
And
It's an interesting
with
one.
or without European football.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Hopefully with.
look, look, it says something that he's playing for Wolves and he's getting in the Brazil team, you know. That
Yeah.
I'm s- I'm sure if he's playing for Manchester United, he'll have even better chance of playing regularly for Brazil.
Mhm.
I believe in their 4-1 defeat to Argentina recently, he was the goal scorer for Brazil in that game. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, Brazil are just not good enough to beat
They've
Argentina.
been terrible, haven't they? They've been
Yeah,
coached terribly. Because even on paper, when you got Rafinha and Vinicius Junior and that, you're like, how are you guys just rubbish?
I know, I know. Yeah, there's some way off Argentina at the moment now.
Yeah. But then again, I guess it goes to show that things aren't one on paper, right? Like we saw midweek with bloody Arsenal and Real Madrid. Flipping Madrid. They had one job. One job.
Yeah, we'll not get into it. We don't want to depress ourselves with that.
Hmm.
There's nothing we can do about it anyway. You know, we can only
Yeah,
mind ourselves. But
basically.
if Kuna and Delap come in as a duo, would that be underwhelming for you?
It would, yeah. I'm not excited by it. Like I said, with Dilat for me is the number two striker. Like if he's the main man, I don't know. Funny enough, I think Aston Villa would be the perfect landing spot for Liam Dilat. It would be a good replacement for John Duran. And obviously, Ollie Watkins isn't getting any younger. And the way they play, I think that would be the next perfect step in his development, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, but if our recruitment team headed by Jason Wilcox is a big fan of the player, I can see it happening, you know. And given
Yeah, yeah.
he's only going to be 30 million if Ipswich go down, which looks likely, they'll might go for that one.
Yeah,
But
yeah. The price and everything else, I don't really have an issue with. The only thing is, if he comes in, then yeah, you need to get rid of Hoyland. You can't have both of them. You can only have one project striker. But that's what I mean. I'd need a senior striker to come in to follow Liam Dillap. Otherwise,
I
we'd be throwing that kid into the deep end as well. He's what, like 22?
I agree with you. I want a senior striker who has a proven goal scoring record, but
Yeah,
that seems to be getting less likely with with the transfer news that keeps coming through every
mhm.
day. It just doesn't seem that we're going in that direction.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah,
If it was up
I
to
get.
me,
Yeah.
I'd be saying Victor Osimhen. But
Hmm.
l- over the years, when United make underwhelming signings that cost very little,
Mm.
or
Those are the ones that tend to
or,
shine.
or they're not big names, yeah, those are the ones that
Yeah, yeah.
tend to shine. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but,
No, that's definitely true. Like one of
but
my favorite signings post Fergie was probably Daily Blind.
mhm. Yeah, he was a good footballer. Uh,
Yeah.
and we made a profit on him as well.
Yeah, one of the rare ones that we made a profit
Him and Daniel James. But
on.
yeah, I can imagine that I was only about 6 year old that when we chased Alan Shearer all summer
Oh,
and then he
jeez.
goes to Newcastle United
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then we sign somebody completely unknown called Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're like,
yeah.
what? This is really underwhelming. You think this guy is going to do it in the Premier League after playing in
Yeah,
Norway? But I'm sure there's plenty of fans who said that at the time, but little did they
definitely.
know that in 3 years' time he'd go on to score the winner in the Champions League final.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so never write off players that seem underwhelming on paper and don't cost
Yeah,
very
no, I
much.
haven't written him off. I think the guy's talented. Uh, I just think, honestly, I just think Aston Villa would be the. If I was his agent, I'd be telling him Aston Villa, they're on the table. That's the
On
perfect move for you.
another
But
reason,
yeah, I certainly
another
wouldn't complain if we
another
got
reason,
him.
another reason to be optimistic about the any move that Ineos makes is that last season none of the players that have come in between last summer and January have been flops.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, no, that's definitely true. Yeah, when I look at their record, it's been good so far. I've not really had any issues. Um, some people might look at Ugarte's price tag, but apart from that, really,
yeah,
everyone's really taken to it quite
yeah,
well. Even the ones that we had question marks over, like Xerxes, over the course of the season, he has shown glimpses of what he can do. Obviously, if you could just add a few more goals to his game, I don't think there'll be any issues at all, to be fair.
yeah. If you were to put me on the spot and ask me who was the weakest signing from Ineos so
Mhm.
far, I would probably lean towards Ugarte if I had to
Yeah.
pick one, given the price and how
Hmm. Limited
mixed,
he is.
how limited he is and how mixed his
Yeah.
performance has been at times.
Yeah. But again,
Um,
I think that's just, us with the profiling of the player, like, because, he is a bit of a specialist, just enforcer, destroyer. There's just not too much else to his game.
no. I tell you what, I am excited by Collier though. I think he's
Yeah.
he's a bit of an all rounder.
Hmm.
He's a good defensive player if you need him for that role, but he's also very good on the ball too.
Yeah.
So
Energy as well.
energy, youth, yeah. And I'm not sure if Collier's ever going to be, you know, a player who's
Mhm.
guaranteed his spot in the first 11. But he, again, I put him in the bracket with Xerxes. I think he's going to be a very, very useful squad player going forward.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, another one that came to mind. Obviously, if we are on any kind of budgets and constraints and things, there are a number of free agents this summer as well. So if we can't get an Osherman, Jonathan David potentially, but again, it would have to make sense. Like on
Well,
paper, it would be free, but you'd have to pay him
I
and
I
his
do
agent.
I don't know how reliable this information is, but
Yeah.
what I have read is that Amorim doesn't think that Jonathan David fits into his system, doesn't think he's the
Okay.
profile of striker that he wants.
Right,
Like if
right.
he was, then United would be all over that,
Yeah.
wouldn't he? Because he's free.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because he's scoring goals, like the numbers are there, and he's free, right? Technically speaking. So you would
an,
think even if you had to pay like, a sign-on fee, it would still be way cheaper than just going out into the open market and
another
putting an offer in.
another name that United have been linked with is the man who scored against Tottenham last night, Hugo Ekitike, I think called him.
Yeah, yeah. Previously of PSG, I think the PSG move might have come a bit too soon for the kid. I still think he's a project though. So he's one of those.
Yeah,
He wouldn't be the main man that I'd rely on to lead the line. But obviously there's a talent there for sure.
yeah, he's a bit like Delap in that he's had one good season so far. That's always
Yeah,
a risk for me. I want
yeah, yeah,
someone with
definitely.
a reputation of scoring
Hmm.
goals, consistently.
Yeah.
I if I'm going to spend big on a player, especially a striker, I want to have more evidence than just one season.
Hmm.
You know,
The thing
but
with Delap though, obviously the price point makes sense, doesn't it? So you can't really complain. You can't go wrong at that price range
yeah, and he's
because
he's
he's
producing it in
already
the
double figures, isn't he? In a struggling Ipswich team.
yeah he's 13 Premier League goals in a struggling
Yeah,
Ipswich team, as you say, and but yeah, but he's certainly improving rapidly because he only had 8
yeah.
goals in the championship for Hull last season.
Hmm.
So it's quite an improvement in a short space of time. But
Yeah.
what I've been led to believe is that Jason Wilcox is a huge fan of him, having you know overseen him in City's academy. So
Hmm.
whenever there's a link like that, don't be surprised that we when we sign players with links to the director of football. Um. So I would agree with you that I prefer experience, but I won't be surprised if we bring him in, and we'll be hoping for the best. Uh, yeah, he does look like he will do better than Holland, and let's bloody hope so.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I don't even know if loaning him out would be an option. You'd assume it would have to be a permanent move, right? But yeah,
Mm, I think
maybe
that
they
would
might consider that if they can't get rid of him permanently.
Yeah, if they can't find a buyer, you
Yeah,
maybe see towards the end of the window
yeah.
them
But
them loaning
it's
them
getting
out.
to that point now where I think he could do with a change of scenery, like because this isn't good for him either.
Yeah, I also do see the human side of being a Man United player. It's a
Hmm.
pressure cooker environment, and when you're
Absolutely, like because every game now they're just counting the minutes and appearances and the lack of goals. We did a similar thing to Diego Forlan, uh, who, in my opinion, was a much better player. But again, at that time, it was very difficult at United, and it was when we started to transition from the 4-4-2 to just playing one striker, so it was difficult for him to get chances. And then when he did make cameos, it was like 20 minutes here and there, but the papers they would still report it as just appearances
yeah,
without giving the context of how many minutes he played.
and when he went to Atletico, he was turning it up, and
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, at Villarreal first, and then
yeah,
won the move to Atletico, and yeah, and I believe he was the player of the tournament at the 2010 World Cup. Yeah, he went on to have a fantastic career. He scored over 100 goals in the Liga.
uh, yeah, I remember him getting the European Golden Boot one season as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's quite a change from being a flop at Old Trafford. But somehow I
definitely.
don't think Holland's going to win the European Golden Boot when he leaves Old Trafford. But maybe I'm being
Yeah,
a bit
no,
harsh, but let's see.
yeah. Well, hopefully he proves us wrong, right? I wish him all the best.
Yeah, definitely. If it's affecting him mentally,
Hmm.
uh, his current situation at Old Trafford, then I
Yeah,
would,
I think a change of scenery and a change of league as well would be good for him.
yeah, I would like to see him being moved on, not just for a football point
Yeah.
of view and a selfish fan point of view, but also for his own mental health as well.
No, definitely, definitely. Like as much as we hate on and talk about these players, they are human beings at the end. Even Anana, I want the best for him. I just don't think it's at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I don't want them to lose their careers. I just,
Yeah, yeah. I
you
don't
know,
want them to lose their careers. Like obviously all the abuse and stuff as well. It's not nice, is it? Like
but
we check the timeline and we see all kinds of stuff. It's not nice to see. Um,
but I'm sure it's exactly the same at Real Madrid and Barcelona. Whenever players
oh,
don't
definitely,
whenever they don't do it, they get
definitely.
it in the neck. Like, you know?
Probably worse at Real Madrid.
Yeah,
They're probably the worst defenders. I mean, that club had the audacity to boo Cristiano,
yeah,
a
that's
man who in 9 years left with more goals than appearances, who
it.
helped them to 4 Champions Leagues in that time. So, if you can boo him, then, what is there left to say?
Yeah, that's where culturally they're different from us.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
supporters, yeah, that's just crazy.
that's insane. They should be worshipping him. They should be building statues.
Like he played for them a lot longer. He won
Mhm.
more with them, yet he's probably more revered at Old Trafford than the
Yeah,
Bernabeu. They're
it's
very
insane.
harsh.
He smashed all the records. Like Raul spent his entire career becoming their top goal scorer, and Ronnie just destroyed it to bits.
Mm, it, yeah, they get the white hankies out to protest whenever things aren't going
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah, so I can imagine that being a very lonely place. If
definitely.
you watch the David Beckham documentary
Yeah.
on Netflix, and one of
Hmm.
the episodes covers his time at Real Madrid, you can see
Mm.
how difficult it is for a player,
Yeah.
when it's not going well.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so bad,
Mhm.
so bad when they
So
turn on you.
yeah, it's horrible, I'm sure. But
Mhm.
we shall leave it there. And please, everybody, smash a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Please subscribe to the podcast while you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, and please drop us a wee comment as well if you like, and I'll get back to as many of those as possible. And Brush, it's been a pleasure as always, and I shall see you after the second leg against Lyon.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, in the next round.
Yeah, hopefully we're sitting here in a week's time, looking
Yep.
forward to a game against Bilbao or Rangers
Or
in the
Rangers. Yeah,
semi-final.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully
Definitely.
Rangers, because that would be easier.
Well, I mean, listen, if they can pull off a performance like that against Bilbao, I don't know if it'll be easier.
We've already beaten them. It's okay. We'll get through against them. Okay, I shall see you in 7 days' time.
All right, take
All right,
care, mate.
see ya.